Welcome back, everybody, and we're going to keep continuing the animation process here. This is the second part of the basic animation tutorials, and this time we're going to go over the Bezier handles and editing your motion path. So what I'm talking about is at each keyframe, and these are the keyframes down here, or on your motion path, these square boxes here, those are your keyframes also. They're at the same points. As you can see, when I click on one, on the end one, it highlights the end one. If I click on the middle one, it highlights the middle keyframe right here. So we're going to be learning how to edit those and add more points. So right now, the arrow tool up here, which is V, which is also called the selection tool, and the pen tool here, which is G, are very useful, and you use those the most when you're editing your motion paths. To quickly switch, if you're on the arrow tool, to quickly switch to the pen tool, it's G, and if you hit V, it switches back to the selection tool. Now to do like a temporary switch, hold down G, and if you let go, it'll go back to the arrow tool. It's really quick, and now you can see what I'm talking about by knowing those hotkeys, how that stuff is helpful. So right now, when you create a keyframe, it creates it defaultly as an auto Bezier keyframe, and when you mess with the handles and everything like that, which I'll show you those real quick. If you click on them, they have these handles right here. There you go. When you touch the handles, it changes the type of keyframe that you have. So you start out with the auto Bezier, which is, I'll type that for you real quick. I'll show you how it's spelled, because it's spelled weird. Oh, nice white font. Alright. Change that so you can see it. There you go. That's how it's spelled. It's called, it sounds like Bezier, but it's not. And you will hear people say it like that, and it's funny. But don't ever say Bezier. Always say Bezier, else you'll get made fun of probably. That's kind of like a little joke in the industry. So click back on your layer there, and let's see, it's on the auto Bezier now. Now if you select a point and rotate the handles, you'll go to what's called a continuous Bezier, and that's just what it's called when you move the handles. You can move them in and out, or you can twirl them like this. If you hold Alt, you can move one of them independently, like this. Now this is just called a Bezier. It's not, that's all it is, just a Bezier. And you can hold Alt to move it like that, and it comes back to the regular one. Hold Alt again, and it moves it like broken. So let's go back to the regular. Also, if you hit the pen tool and you mouse over top of the Bezier handle, it changes to the Convert Vertex tool, which you can see if you hold up here on the pen tool, Convert Vertex tool. Same thing. That also, if you have that selected, that'll also break the Bezier handle. There's also another type of handle. It's called linear. So if you have the Convert Vertex tool on and you click right here on the actual keyframe point, it makes hard straight lines and angles. Now this is good if you need to there'll be times when you need to use this, and just knowing how to do it is very handy. So if you click on it again, it'll go back to what you had previously. So those are the different types of keyframes. Remember that if you hold down G, you gotta have the arrow selected. If you hold down G, it'll temporarily go to the pen tool. And make sure that the pen tool is selected, and then if you hold down G, there you go, it'll change to the pen tool. It was changing to the Convert Vertex tool when I had it on there before. So I'm holding down G and you can't see it changing, but if I'm still holding down G right now and I mouse over, it goes to the Convert Vertex tool. So that's a quick overview of the types of keyframes. Remember that keyframes are down here, so we can move on to maybe editing these keyframes here. You can click on the keyframes down here and move them to increase time, and you can see the frames right here represented by small little dots. Let's zoom in on it. If you use your mouse, middle mouse button, you can zoom in on the, if you scroll, you can zoom in on the comp instead of having to use the zoom tool. So that's a quick shortcut. I don't use the zoom tool as much when I can do it like this. And if you hold down the middle mouse button and click, you can use your hand tool, which is useful when you're zoomed in. But you can see how there's more dots in between than on this side because I moved the keyframe farther apart than this side. So if you grab your keyframe and move it back to where it was and you hold shift, it'll snap back to where your current time indicator is, which is this red line on your timeline. So if I move it over here, move it, hold shift, it'll snap to that. Control Z to send it back to where it was. And remember, we had this on 2 seconds, so I'll get it on 2 seconds. You can always check to see if you have it on the right time over here on the left. Snap the keyframe over. Alright, now we're back to where we were. Zoom back out so you can see everything. And let's see, there you go with that. Now, other things you can do with keyframes, you can click and alter the keyframe up on here with the selection tool, or the arrow tool as I like to call it, as you probably noticed. And you can change the position of the keyframe. So let's go to this keyframe on the end here with the current time indicator. So you can move it, and then you can see down here, watch that area, and you can see that the position changes. Let's see, hit Control Z twice to, or a few times to send it back to what it is. Control Z does undo if you don't remember. Another way to move your keyframe would be moving these slider points right here. So if you click and hold and drag, you can move up the different axes. Do it for this one. And sometimes if you're really far away, or the canvas is really big, moving across takes, up and down with these, takes forever. So you can click on it and type in something, type in a number. That works. But maybe you're not sure what exactly the position is that you, the coordinates are. So you can hold shift and drag, and it drags it way faster. See? Alright, Control Z. These buttons, or these numbers here, stand for the X and Y coordinates. X means left and right, and Y is up and down on an axis. See, left and right for X, and up and down for Y. See, other ways to move. Oh, there is another way, but I highly don't recommend it. Let's see if it's in layer. You click on layer up here at the top, Then you can go to transform, and you can do this with all these different transform options. Click on position, and then you can manually type in. You have percentages, which are, honestly, I never use this way because it's just, you have to know the exact coordinates. But if I know the exact coordinates, I'm just going to type them in down here. Now, if you're scrubbing across and with your current time indicator and he's not seeming to move, now you may want to check and see if you have this button clicked, which is the live update. The warning pops up. I don't need this warning anymore. Now when I try to scrub across, he doesn't move. There's a little troubleshooting there in case that happens. Sometimes this kind of stuff happens when you're starting a program and you don't really know what to do. So there you go. But if you have live update unchecked, you move to a certain keyframe, it will update at the end. It just doesn't scrub with you. See? And that's pretty good right now for learning about the keyframes. There's more about keyframes that I can teach you in the next tutorial or a later tutorial. So this is a good place to stop, and looking forward to seeing you guys at the next tutorial. Thank you. Always save it. Make sure you guys save. Alright, bye.